Hi everyone, welcome to my new video. This video is sort of a companion piece, sort of a big update of the previous two videos, because I want to talk about the topic that I only touched upon in the previous two videos. And that topic is narrative inconsistencies in part 4, Nightmare on Elm Street part 4 and part 5. So character problems and the plot holes in part 4 and part 5. Things I only touched upon in my previous two videos. And I will here try to basically, in previous two videos I talked about how my 8-year-old self saw these films, what I thought of those two films back then, and what I think of them now a little bit. And but I didn't talk much about these problems, the criticisms that people have of these two films. And I discussed these things with friends over the years, and with some Nightmare on Elm Street fans and with some film critics, and I wanna talk about that now. I made a list basically here of these criticisms, some of which I think are valid, some of which I think are not, but basically I'm offering my view. Do not consider this as some definite guide on things, but I'm offering my view as objective as possible. I will try to be as objective as possible, but it's hard for me to be objective when it comes to the Nightmare. Sometimes it's hard for me to be objective when it comes to Nightmare on Elm Street films, because that series was big part of my childhood and teenage years, and still are a big part of me being a horror film buff and a film buff. But I will try to be as objective as possible and address some of these criticisms. Let's talk for the beginning of about the plot of part 4 and part 5, including the spoilers, because I think all of that is important to establish a setting, basically, for what I want to say about these criticisms. When it comes to the setting, also, I mean, I'm not at home at the moment. So my surrounding might not be the most adequate, but I wanted to make this video and address this topic and these criticisms. And part 4 continues directly, basically, on part 3. Part 4 is the direct continuation of Dream Warriors, of the plot of Dream Warriors, and we meet the 3 remaining characters, Joy, Kincaid, and Kirsten. And Kirsten is having nightmares of not exactly Freddy, but of the spaces where they fought Freddy and where Freddy lived and the things like that. And she's still possessed the powers of pulling people into her own dreams. And Joy and Kincaid are not happy about any of that. They don't want to steer anything. They want to live a normal life, to recover from the past traumas and from everything they've been through. And that's perfectly understandable, of course, their reaction, and their kids who have been through a lot of stuff, and they want to recover from that and live normal life. And they all go to the high school, and they have new friends, especially Kirsten is attached to these new friends, and a girl, Alice, who will soon become the first spoiler, who will soon become the protagonist of the film, and Alice's brother Rick, and Sheila and Debbie, their friends from school, girls from school, and Dan, who will become the boyfriend of Alice at the end of the film. And basically, in the first third of the film, Freddy kills Joy, Kincaid, and Kirsten. And during the moments of her death, Kirsten transfers her powers to Alice to get people, pull people into her own dreams. And then, during the course of the film, Freddy uses that to get to the new victims. And at the end of the film, Alice fights Freddy and defeats him. But of course, there is a hook for a sequel. And I will talk about these hooks in some of the subsequent videos, in the several subsequent videos. And part 5 then continues, part 5 is direct continuation of part 4. At the beginning of the film, Alice and Dan are still a couple. The Alice, similar to the Kirsten in part 4, Alice dreams of not exactly of Freddy, but of the places from Freddy's life. This case, in a way, their own dream, nightmarish version, and she dreams about a nun, Amanda Krueger, Freddy's mother, being raped in an asylum by 100 maniacs, and basically she witnessed the rebirth of Freddy through Amanda's spirit in her own, through Amanda in her own dreams. in Alice's dreams. And so basically Alice and Dan are going to the high school, are finishing high school, the last days of their high school, and they have a new friends, Mark, Greta and Yvonne. And basically at the first third of the film, near the beginning of the film, Freddy kills Dan. And I already mentioned the scene on the motorcycle of the fusing with the motorcycle. That's the scene of Dan's death. And Alice sees Dan's body and faints, but we soon discover the real reason for her fainting. And she goes to the hospital, and she discovers that she's pregnant with Dan's child. And she soon discovers that Freddy uses her own dreams and the dreams of her unborn child even more to comes back and to get new victims. And at the end of the film, Alice fights Freddy with the help of the Amanda Krueger spirit, and Amanda Krueger and her son, her unborn son Jacob. She sees several times through the film a boy of some 7-8 years who she sees him in her dreams, basically as a 7 years old version of Jacob. Basically, she gave him name. Basically, he says the name, and she likes that name. He's also helping her in defeating Freddy, and they win. But of course, there's a hook for a sequel. First of all, let's address the criticisms of. I will jump again to this the last thing I mentioned, the relationship between the Jacob and Alice and Amanda later. But let's start from from part 4, and the first criticism is basically why the characters of from the beginning of part 4, why they die too soon, and all the passing of the protagonism from Kirsten to Alice and all of that. It's like, why is that? And that they should survive and do more. And I agree with that from the perspective of a fan. And generally, I mean, I agree with that. I would like to see them do more stuff. But you know, how to say? It's never. There was originally a plan to do that. Basically, during the production of the film, to bring Kincaid back in the end of the film to fight Freddy, and. The Kincaid survives and fights Freddy, but basically, I can understand that from the point of view of a fan and everything, but you know, it's not written in stone that you have to keep the characters from the. Now I'm trying to be as objective as possible. It's not written in stone that you have to keep. It's not a golden rule to keep the characters from the previous sequel to the next and keep them alive in all the sequel. It's I mean, films and the passing of the protagonism and everything, it's been done before. I mean, look at Psycho, for example. It's 1980, Nightmare on Elm Street is 1988 and the Psycho is 1960, so it's like 28 years before that. We had Hitchcock's Psycho, where we have one character who we think is a protagonist, and then that character is killed, and the protagonist becomes another person. And and we had that in part 1, in the Nightmare on Elm Street part 1, we think similar thing about Tina, and then protagonist becomes Nancy. Here is done something similar. It's done, and also that element of them being, you know, element of the story that them being killed can be seen also as a moment where we are emphasizing where the tragic element of the whole story is emphasized, and the whole uncertainty of events in this universe of these films, and so it can be seen as that also. And it's a little crudely done, this transition and everything, but not much. I mean, it works. It works well, and. I think it's okay, and protagonism, switching of the protagonism from Kirsten to Alice, it's done well. And the next thing, basically, what's criticized is the transition of power and transformation of Alice into a dream master. Like he is getting basically as their friends, some of her friends are killed. He gets their power, not power, but their characteristics, basically. mostly good and some bad, and gets them as basically the process of becoming a Dream Master and fighting Freddy. And people are criticizing that, but I think people are here in this case, they're also taking things literally, some of these things, and of course there's a practical reason for all of this happening, basically because Alice is becoming more equipped to fight Freddy. And there is also metaphorical level, because she's really it's a metaphor for her transforming, and we see her transforming from the shy and looks like a vulnerable person to a more like open and ready to fight problems of her own life, which is one of the main theme of these films. And she does that, and that's all of that can be seen on that level also, and it works on that level very well. And as I mentioned, it works practically as a plot device to fight Freddy. And so I think that's okay. Again, maybe it's not the most done in the most subtle way, but it works. It works pretty well in this film. And also it's said that the transition of power and transformation and why Kirsten really gave power to Alice. I mean, that's been criticized also. I mean, because that's the way of Freddy getting new victims. And you have to follow a little bit of a dream logic here, and a certainty, and the whole like desperation of the Kirsten's character in those moments. I mean, she's dying basically. She not might think clearly about things, and also it happens in a dream. Kirsten dies in a dream and dies for real, but it's happening in a dream, and we follow a dream logic. So sometimes we don't need to follow the actual real life logic, when it comes to some of these things, and that's true for many of these criticisms. That's one of the important things to emphasize, that many of these things follow the dream logic, and because they happen in a dream. And that's I think it works pretty well in this film. And the next criticism is that the role of Amanda Krueger and the Freddy's rebirth, basically, in part 5, beginning of part 5. Again, this can be seen on several levels, and again, people might take things too literally here. Freddy needs Amanda in order to get basically re-energized in a way, because he's been all the souls from that source of his power are freed in the end of part 4, so he needs to basically re-energize through his rebirth in a way. And he needs to draw from the events of his life for that, and basically to get Amanda back in order to get re-energized. But again, it can be also seen it happens in a dream, and it can be seen basically as a show that Freddy puts on for Alice in a way, because he's not really dead. Obviously, he's not really dead, completely dead. He's weak but not dead, and so it can be seen as that, as a show for that Freddy puts on for Alice, basically. But also it can be seen literally, because he needs Amanda for basically as a source of his life, as his strength and his power, and she's source for good also, because she helps Alice and Jacob to fight Freddy, and but he's also his mother. So Freddy is certainly not source of good or anything, but he needs her. And basically the way everything is done again is a little bit crude, and obviously the script is been going through a lot of changes, and the constant rewrites of things were happening very fast. The production was very rushed, so it's not the most done in the most subtle way, but her character works, as I said. And also one of the things, Alice, there is the theory, but I'm not sure about that, but basically there is a theory that Alice, with her dreams at the beginning of the film, and with her pregnancy and everything, might have invoked the spirit of Amanda in a way. But basically, it's what is true is that Freddy needs to get back to some of the events of his previous to his life, and get re-energized in a way. And he pulls Amanda also, but he also is afraid of her. He needs her, but he's afraid of her. because, as I said, she is the source of his destruction also. And so it's not done in the most subtle way, but it works for this film. And the next thing basically that's been criticized is the rebirth of Freddy basically into the real world through Alice's child. And again, I mean, Freddy is feeding him the souls of his victims basically to make him evil, to make him like his own, to make him his own extension in a way into the real world. And through her son, Freddy wants to gain more influence into to get more influence and get into the real world. Again, here things might you don't need to look at things literally here. Basically, Freddy uses her pregnancy as an even more stable source of his power, because now Alice does not need to dream now. I mean, she can be awake, but her kid is almost in a constant state of dream, and in the film's plot, and that's the source of his power basically, and so he needs that also. And he might not need to be literally reborn into the real life, but he needs her state as a basically source of his power. And basically I mean, all of that is again, the script is a little bit everything is rushed. I mean, the script was going through a lot of changes, so that's the source of many possible possible problems and the criticisms here. But again, I think this works, and Freddy is basically using her pregnancy as his source of power, to gain access into the real world, because now he can be re-energized and get into the real world through that. And Alice does not need to be asleep. She can be awake, but her until her kid is sleeping, then everything is like Freddy can gain access to the new victims and to gain more influence, to have more influence into the real world. And I think that works. And the other thing that's been criticized is Amanda's suicide. That if her body is not found, then how we know is that she committed suicide. Well, again, Mark mentions that in part 5. I mean, again, that is not taken as ultimate truth. It can be an urban legend. That's his opinion, but it's not stated that that's the ultimate truth in the film. And again, it can be seen as the urban legend, and I mean, it's not the thing to emphasize as the truth from reality, basically. And also I want to address another couple of other things. Basically, what I think is for me not really a problem, not a big problem in the plot or anything, but the way that Mark is killed, and the Super Freddy, for example, is in this case they went a little bit more silly than usual. I think that was necessary, a little bit more than that. I mean, Super Freddy is okay, but it's kind of silly. I mean, so it's not really the best scene. And also another thing, people are criticizing about the last third of the film, like that everything everything breaks into pieces in the last third of the film, and that's not again, I think people are taking things too literally here, and the last third of the film almost entirely happens in a dream, and we follow a dream logic. And again, that we don't follow really a cohesive narrative here. Everything really breaks into pieces, but it's for a reason, in my opinion. I mean, the whole imagery and everything. I mean, the way everything is filmed, and it's it's emphasizing the logic of dreams, and we follow the logic of dreams here, and because of that, not everything should be taken literally here, and I think that the last third works in that way. Also, another thing I want to mention, people are talking, this is not a criticism or anything, but I want to mention basically that the people are talking that there might be some influence of the Italian horror films from the period, like from the late 70s, early 80s of Fulci from Fulci and Argento to this film, and there's certainly lots of Gothic elements in Part 5 and the Gothic look, and the last third also, especially with its narrative. With its like a disconnected events, with the chaotic, nature of events happening, and all the unusual camera angles, and the way everything is edited is a little bit similar to the Italian horror films of Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci. But I'm not sure about that exactly, because I haven't found any evidence of director and the writers and producers talking about the influence from the Italian horror films. But it looks, some of the scenes look similar, and there might be some influence. Yeah, I guess that can be the case. Basically that's all for now. I will talk about more about the Nightmare on Elm Street universe and the topics related to Nightmare on Elm Street, and the other, of course, films and horror films and other films that I want to talk about in the subsequent videos. But that's all for now. So the topic was narrative inconsistencies in Part 4 and Part 5, plot holes and character problems. And please offer your opinion on these things in the comments, and we can start a discussion also about that. This, as I said, do not take this as a definite guide or anything. This is basically my view on these things, and so please offer your opinion. If you want to watch more of my content, subscribe, like, and if you want, share, and see you in the next video. Bye.